Okay, welcome back to the Grumpy Old Gamer podcast, and this is episode 8, and today we're going to be talking all about the absolute cluster that is Early Access, Steam's Early Access project. I'm Al, I'll be your host for the evening, and I'm joined by the absolute delight, which is Tim, who's ever so slightly pissed off today.
I am, but lovely to be here, mate.
And Ian, who is away with the fairies.
What?
Exactly.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Let's go with that.
You good, guys?
Good.
Yeah.
Ready to get into this?
Let's do it.
Have you got your angry pants on?
Something like that, sure.
Okay. So, Early Access. Ian, what is it?
So Early Access is basically you get the beta version of the video game and you pay for it to play it early, and then they take what input and you say about the game and then make the game better, and then eventually you get a 1.0 release.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always happen that way, does it? It doesn't always happen that way. Now, I think that because the statistics don't lie, only about 25% of early access titles actually reach a 1.0 release. So why is that, Tim? Weigh in.
Honestly, I think people I think they have too much we could be doing this. Give us some time. We could be doing this, and have such a broad reach. Don't get me wrong, the ideas are great. But I think they stretch too far and then realize when probably halfway through that they can't actually do it, and they just continually do that, if that makes sense.
I mean, are the ideas great, or is this just a situation where you've got developers releasing unfinished, broken messes, calling it a game, making money off people, and then never seeing through their promise of releasing a full version of a game?
It really depends if it's say indie developers or say AAA. If it's AAA, they have no excuse. With indie, I think a lot of them they wish it would be what they want to envisage, as it were. And so do the people backing them. The majority of the time it doesn't happen, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the benefit from indie developers, and I think that we maybe talked about this in episode 1, if we go back however many weeks away that was, when we talked about gaming being shit now. And we mentioned early access briefly in that episode, and I think that it was right at the end, and I'm sure we said we are absolutely fine with early access being used by indie developers, but if you are a AAA developer and you are releasing an early access game, how dare you expect me to pay to beta test your mess for you? I think that was a fair summary of what we discussed, isn't it?
And that's it. It's the audacity of it. It's I'm not going to use expletive yet, but you piece of poo. How dare you? You know.
Look, we started the episode with clusterfuck. So
okay,
I'm
fine.
sure you can.
You fucking wankers! Don't fucking do that shit. It's absolutely despicable. You know.
Whoa, language, man! That's completely uncalled for.
Whoa.
Completely
seriously,
uncalled for.
You're paying $60 dollars or £50 type thing to beta test the game because they haven't. That's it. And it's there's a different line between indie and say AAA. You know.
And there is a distinction, I think, between just beta testing it and having it out for early access, because I think some of the larger studios tend to do more of the beta testing, where they'll have the soft release just to kind of see how the servers will impact it, especially if it's an online type of game. And I think that's separate, but I can't really think of any major major developers that did the early access. I mean, as far as I can remember, they pretty much all been indies. Am I wrong?
Yeah, you're wrong, but that's okay, and we're used to that by now. It's been.
First of all, of course you're wrong.
It's been 8 episodes, so if there's one thing that we've established is that Ian's typically wrong when it comes to.
It hurts because it's true.
Okay. I mean, would you say that Baldur's Gate 3 is a AAA title?
Yes.
No, I wouldn't say it is. I mean, they did what was the one before it that they did?
Baldur's Gate 2.
Divinity?
No, because it wasn't the same studio. But thank you for the input. No, it wasn't the same studio. It was, we'll come back to that later. We'll come back to it later.
Well, it certainly had AAA production values, and
it did.
That was Act 1 was playable whilst the rest was being developed. Grounded is an Obsidian game.
Yeah.
Started early access in 2020. Full release 2 years later. That's Microsoft back. That's Xbox Game Studios sticking a game into early access for 2 years. That's just that stinks to me. You know, Ian, Halo Infinite multiplayer releases a beta for several months before it was released.
It was released in beta.
Yeah, it's like early access, isn't it? Is it not the same? Is it not the same thing?
It's the same thing, isn't it?
Kind of, not really.
What's the difference?
I think beta is more of like a planned time frame for okay, between this day and this day, we're going to have open access for this number of players. And it's just kind of an activity to kind of fine-tune the product. But
yes, however, that's if it's a closed beta test. If you're releasing a beta which anybody can play, then that is an early access release. You've got to differentiate between a closed beta test where you say, I'm going to invite a select number of people to come and play test my game and stress test it and see whether it's actually going to work under the particular settings or whatever that we have, or where you say, here's an open beta. That's, unless it's free, and maybe that's the difference. It's free if it's a beta and it's payable if it's early access. I don't know. Tim, Forza Motorsport 2023. Premium buyers got early access, whilst core features were unfinished, and they used the community to reshape it. That's one of your games, isn't it?
It is one of my games, mate, for sure. I never played it when it was say early access or open beta. I cheekily had it as on Game Pass for November until Christmas, and then my dad asked hey, what do you want for Christmas? I want Forza. So I actually haven't paid attention to that. I didn't even realise that was a thing. But I can see them doing it. Microsoft is a bit skew-iffy when it comes to that kind of stuff these days.
I think just to clarify something, the biggest difference, I'm going back to this, I'll die on this hill. Betas are different than early access because beta periods typically end and then you lose your access to the beta. Versus early access, you never lose access to the product. They just say eventually we're at a 1.0.
I have to respectfully disagree with you, mate. A lot of the stuff when it comes to early access, it's it's overloading the server, or it's doing this and that, and yeah, you'll have certain times and certain say over the weekend type thing. But then as soon as you get to midnight on fucking Monday morning type thing, you're cut off. I think early access and beta are basically parallel these days when it comes to that kind of terminology. I
think the line's starting to blur.
So there has been some big names that have gone into early access, right? And I think we can all agree that that's a process that has to stop because it stinks. If you are Microsoft Game Studios, if you are Xbox, if you are one of these huge conglomerates that monopolizes the gaming industry, you do not need me to pay to test your game. But fortunately, it's very few and far between. I think that we see AAA studios have the money, they have the ability to test games effectively, to bring people in on closed beta tests, on alphas, play testers, whatever, and get the games tested and into a playable state before they are released, as we rightfully expect them to do, given the amount of money and the amount of money that they are charging for those games. Okay. So I think that because we're all ever so slightly angry for different reasons, Ian being that it wasn't going up or something like that, so because I think we've come in and the one person from Melbourne, Australia, who's listening to this episode may think, wow, these are a bunch of angry bastards, but I think it's important that we look at the other side of the early access coin, and I think that for an indie developer, early access is a extremely useful tool. Steam introduced it in 2013, and I think it's super useful for indie developers.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think for indie developers, like, it's actually perfect for them because not only are they getting they're getting beta testers essentially, and it's kind of like this repercussion of like back and forth, and it gets them close to their like community type thing. B, it improves the game. You know, like I think that's actually a fantastic way of doing it. But when it comes to like say AAA stuff, what's the point? You've got like thousands of people. You know what I mean?
Thousands of people and millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly, mate.
One of the things that we mentioned at the start there is that only about 25% of early access games ever reach a 1.0 release. So 75% of them are abandoned or they stay in development hell, which I think is worse than abandonment, where they just, it stays in early access forever. Is it almost as if early access is a risk and you're better off waiting to release a full version of the game rather than going early access first? Because it's almost like you're attributing a 75% failure rate for any game that goes into early access.
I must admit, like, I go through like some of the Steam like stuff and be like, oh, early access, that. But at the same time, it's like, do I want to buy this? Is it even going to be released? Is it even going to happen type thing? When there's so much potential for, like, a game to, like, literally develop, like, that's the point, isn't it? Do I really want to give them my money? Like, I'm kind of like one of those people who, like, wait and see type thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to be super, super impressed with the game to purchase it in early access. I like full experiences, gaming and in other aspects of life. I want everything. I don't want to have a snapshot of an experience. I don't want to just have a limited version of a game. I will wait until the full version's there, which is quite interesting because on average. As an average, an early access game takes 3 years from early access release to full release, and that's a hell of a lot of time. Yeah, that's the average. So some don't take as long, but others take even longer. And I'm sure there's some games which have sit in early access for. There's probably been games in early access since they started early access in 2013, and they're still there now.
7 Days to Die just got out of early access after being in there for over 10 years.
I was going to say that's at least 10 years, isn't it, for that one?
At some point, you can't be early anymore if you've been doing this for 10 years.
And is there value in that? I mean, is there value? Two things. Is there value for the player? Is there value for the developer?
I think there's value for the player. I think that you can really still have a really good experience playing these different games. And I think we've had some games that really show that. Like, one that comes to mind is Valheim. That was a smaller...
Oh, that was a
great game. Another one that's in early development. I know you guys didn't play this one, but Schedule 1. That's another game where I think it's really benefited from having early access. And they're doing things like they're doing polls and seeing what do we want to work on for the next content. I think it's been pretty useful for that. And then I think one game that people keep forgetting was in early access is Minecraft, because that was out before it was released for, I think, a couple of years, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Mojang, wasn't it, who did that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But again, Minecraft. That was a solo dev who made Minecraft. I don't fall out with somebody who was a solo developer. Another one is Manor Lords. It's a solo developer, Slavic Magic. And Manor Lords broke all records when it was released into early access. Amazing
game. I think it still is.
Yeah. But it's one of those where you think, well, as a solo developer, will he ever reach the stage where he says, well, this game is finished now. There's your 1.0 release. So is it always going to be worked on? And will it always be an early access title? I mean, would it be appropriate to assign some sort of time limit on this, where Steam say, right, if you do not release within 5 years, then we're cancelling you, because otherwise, are you not just taking the piss by giving people a half-baked product?
I think that's actually a very valid point, because Manor Lords, actually, perfect example, literally. when I played it, I haven't played it for a few months, but like when I play that game, I would think that was a complete game, personally. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I know I think he's got like a few new devs like helping him out, like sound and stuff like that, and it's like all subjective when it comes to like, oh, is this done? Is this done? But personally, I'd say that was a complete game, honestly. Like,
ask George Lucas. I mean, that guy likes to release, Star Wars a million times. Like, any creative will tell you, like, if you give them the opportunity to never be done with something, they're never going to be done.
Handshot first.
Yes, he did. But it's interesting that you should mention that, Tim, because I think that's a real benefit for the developers and why early access should be or could be used. So solo developer, he's earned nothing. He's probably had backers and he's had investors or whatever. He then releases the game. He then gets an influx of cash from sales of the early access title to be able to hire more people to make the game better. And that is a way of early accessing which we should embrace and we should support and we should encourage. There's one other way that I want to I want to talk to Tim about in particular. Sorry, Ian. It's not because he's my favourite, honest.
I'm sure.
But it's something which is close to a friend of yours' heart, which is Star Citizen.
Okay.
A game which has been in development for 13 years and has had 750 million in funding. Why is that not yet being released? And why are people putting all that money into an unfinished game?
Because, I don't know. Look, I know who you're referring to. Hi,
George.
You're not bloody subtle about it, mate. But I've also invested into that game. I've probably put about like 300, 400 quid into it, honestly.
What?
Yeah, I've bought quite a few ships throughout the years. But it's because I think a lot of the people who really like it came from like EVE Online. And we wanted, like, our dream game was like EVE Online set first person, you can do all this stuff. And no matter how much hate like Star Citizen gets, I know I don't play it at the moment, and I kind of like shun people away, like, shut up, stop talking about Star Citizen. It is a really good game. The only issue that they have is the servers. But for a game itself, it's really bloody good. It's really, really good.
So why is it not released? Why is it not?
No, and that's the point I was getting to, mate. I don't know. It's like that ticking time bomb. It's like, well, it's early access, well, it can't be released. But it is. They just need to sort out their servers. That's it. The game itself, like constructively and what they have done, immaculate. Amazing game. But
they're just taking the piss out of people, aren't they, by keeping it in early access for 13 years or however long it's been? They're just and saying, "Give me your money."
Yeah, no disagreements. Like I think they even, God, back in the day, I think it was like one of the original like Kickstarters type thing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is, like for them to say, "Oh, because it's in early access because we're still adding things." Right? Okay, well that's what we call a live service game. It happens all the time. You could argue that Destiny 2 is an early access game. It isn't, but you can argue that it is because they keep adding stuff to it all the time.
Agreed.
So if it's the same setup as that, where you want to add season packs and you want to add new content, then just release the bloody game, say that it's finished, and then give us more content. It just, I don't understand. And I appreciate it's an indie game. I absolutely get that. And I know that we were saying we're absolutely fine with indie developers doing that. But yeah, if there's light at the end of the tunnel, if there's an end in sight, then by all means do early access. I support it. I embrace it. I encourage it. But to do it this way and just leave it as like an unfinished whatever, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I think it's taken far too long. Because I remember when it was like properly first being like, because it was mind-blowing. Like, it must have been like 2012, something like that. Yeah, absolutely. The idea of it, mind-blowing. And what they have done has been mind-blowing. But they keep pushing it back and pushing it back. And this is where the cycle begins. It's like, at this point, like, come on, like, guys, you've almost got like $1 billion worth of revenue in your wallet. Just say, like, push it out of early access. Even just say, like, beta, alpha, whatever. Who cares? I mean, they're going to be releasing a single-player campaign soon. And it's got, like, people like Mark Hamill. They've got so many A-list actors in the damn thing. It's like, just push it out. Push that out, and then say, oh, the multiplayer stuff we're working on, you know?
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think that early access games benefit or would benefit more from having some sort of restrictions in place? Such as, like, if you don't release the game within X number of years, you get a full refund on your money or something, like some kind of, like, ticking clock to keep the pressure on them?
Well, I was going to say, Al basically brought that up, like, a little bit ago, didn't he?
I did. Ian wasn't listening.
That's not really what I do.
Ian was listening to that bit where I said maybe they should have a 5-year time limit on early access, and they have to release the game within 5 years. And if they don't, then something happens. But what I didn't mention was the sanction. I think that Ian brings up a good point there, because it's like, if they say, okay, well, fair enough, we'll just pull it from our shelves, and then therefore you just piss off a lot of players there. And Steam doesn't want to do that. Steam wants to have happy players, because happy players spend money on games, and therefore Gabe Newell buys another mansion in the Bahamas. It's in their interest to have people spending money. I guess it would also impact Steam if they were to take on Ian's suggestion, which I don't fall out with, and say, okay, if you haven't released it within 5 years, then you get your money back. So take Star Citizen, for example. They would be refunding $750 million.
But if they were starting off...
and how are you going to enforce that? How are you going to say to a developer, all that money that you've spent on developing your game, you now need to give us it back?
Yeah, that's valid.
Would that then mean that developers say, do you know what, I ain't doing early access because it's never going to work? Or do they say instead, like Beyond All Reason, Beyond All Reason's RTS game, it's been in development, Space Commerce, it's been in development for 20 years. It's a fork of a mod of Total Annihilation. And it's not on Steam. They self-published. And it's very, very popular. It's one of the most popular RTS games out there.
Oh, kind of like how Tarkov did it. Like,
would Steam cut its nose off to spite its face by doing that? Because developers would be like, well, I want to release early access, so I'm going to do it myself rather than utilizing Steam.
Maybe they just get like a bonus if they release within so many years of from the initial announcement. As some kind of an incentive. Less of the stick, more of the carrot.
Well, then the issue with that is people then, because they know they have to rush a game out within a certain period of time, they then release a broken, buggy mess, which is exactly what early access was designed to fix. Was that people don't put out broken, buggy messes. They say, or actually they do. Let's clarify. They do put out a broken, bloody mess, but they are transparent. Here's our broken, buggy mess of a game. It's called early access. Please pay to help us test it. But because they're being honest, we accept that. Whereas I think if you were to offer an incentive or a punishment, you would break the whole idea of early access.
I think that's actually like a really good point. Honesty. I think developers get away with a lot more shit because of like, hey, the game isn't finished. It's an early access, guys. Like, don't give us all the stick type thing. But we're being honest to you. Like, how far can that go?
But it's bullshit, though, isn't it? Really,
it is bullshit, mate. It is.
It's just an excuse. Like people say, we're being transparent. It's like, well, but really, how transparent are you being? Can you have transparency without accountability? And there's no accountability. People can put anything, and I guess this is the thing: you can put out anything you want as an early access title. That's the whole point. It doesn't have to be a finished game. So, I mean, and I don't know. And if someone's listening to this in Melbourne, Australia, and wants to chime in and correct me, do Steam expect a certain amount of completion on a game before they'll allow you to put out on early access, or can you just release anything you want as early access?
And that's also another good point. I've seen so many like early access like ideas, and I'm doing quotations over the webcam, and you can't see it, but the ideas sound fantastic. It's the completion that generally a lot of the really good idea, like early access games or like beta, not even alpha or anything like that, but like early access, have got really good ideas, but they never get to the point. And I've seen so many die because of it. And it's like, oh, well, it was early access anyway. And they kind of like get like, it's fine because it was early access. It's almost like they got off the loose type thing, you know?
So one thing that we have in order to protect us as consumers is Steam's, and I know we do early access in different things. Epic do it, and I think PlayStation, Microsoft do as well. But I think we're talking about Steam because we're all mainly PC gamers. So one thing that Steam, they're actually forced to do this. They didn't do this because they were nice. You know, the refund policy that if you played under 2 hours and you've had it for less than 14 days, you can get a full refund on your game. Do you know what the refund policy is for early access?
No, I have no fucking idea, mate.
What would you expect it to be?
I'd expect at least a few hours, and then full refund. I would assume.
So it's exactly the same. The refund policy hasn't changed, whether a game is early access or not. And I kind of expected early access to be to have, I guess, slightly more relaxed refund rules. I mean, of course, you're right. You don't want people to take the piss, but you're not buying a complete product, are you? So, you know, surely they should have an opportunity. Well, actually, especially if this is the thing. You know, if you buy a game in early access, it then sits unfinished for 13 years in terms of Star Citizen, or 10 years. What was that? Was that 7 Days to Die? You know, for 10 days. And they never released the full version. It's like, well, hang on, haven't you broken your promise to me? Because I bought this with the expectation, understanding that you would release a full game, and you haven't. So can I not have a refund because you haven't released what you said you were going to release? Or are they protected by, they say it's early access?
I think they're protected because they say it's early access. And you're completely right with the idea of like, hey, people are buying into... How about this? People are buying into the promise of like, hey, we'll get this done. By some point, you guys are helping us. You're enabling us to get this product like out there type thing. And we will do it. But if that doesn't happen, yeah, where the fuck are you? You've been helping the developers, and then if they don't deliver, you're pretty much buggers, you know?
and the majority of the time, they don't deliver.
Yeah, the majority of the time, yeah, you're unfortunately right.
1 in 4 are released as a full game.
I guess that's just part of the nature of the beast for early access, you know, let the buyer beware that. I mean, I think usually when you go to buy early access game, like they throw in your face, hey, this is early access, just so you know, there could be buggy. We're not going to give you your money back.
Yeah, it's like, you know what you're doing. You're throwing yourself under the bus type thing. It's not our fault that we can't develop a game, which is not a good excuse, honestly.
And as you say there about excuses, and I think this is kind of the thing, we all want, and I think it's super important for developers to be transparent and to focus on community. But when people say it's for the community, that's why they're doing it. It's like, well, it isn't really. Nah. It isn't really. You just want me to test your game for you, don't you? Yeah, and in the case of Manor Lords, he's then taken that money and he's hired people to work on different aspects of the game. So
he's a great example of how to do it right, you know?
Yeah. But will we, when we get to season 10 of the Grumpy Old Gamer podcast in 5 years' time, and we come back and we say, what about early access? And we say, oh, what about that game Manor Lords that's been in early access for 6 years now? Will we still say that he's a great example of someone who's doing it right? Or will we say he's taking the piss because he's had all this money and he's still sat in early access? Are we just giving him a buy because it's only been a short period of time, relatively?
I would say, as we're using Manor Lords as like an example, I would say that game's already complete. I have had so much fun like playing that game. It feels like a complete game, but he's just adding more to it. So more power to him. There's some games that you're like, okay, it's only halfway done, blah, blah, blah. Manor Lords, I think, is just like a really good example of like early access done right, you know?
So what's missing from Manor Lords then? You say it could be released now as a complete game. So what is he still working on in order to make it a complete game?
I think he's doing like background stuff. I think he was like trying to get music because he can do like the music stuff. Like for the actual base building and everything like that, I think he's nailed it. I think he just wants like aesthetic stuff in the background. That's the only thing that he says, like, I don't think is complete. Which, nice. You know what? Fair play. You got the grounding, you got it. Fair play. And he just wants to add more music and stuff like that. It's like, okay.
Sounds like he needs somebody on his team to say, hey, it's time to land this bird.
The bird's already landed. He just wants to have a sexy soundtrack whilst it lands.
And is there some paralysis? Because this is, I think, another interesting reason why games may be staying in access for longer. Someone plays Manor Lords and they say, I didn't like that particular aspect, or I think that needs some work, or that needs to be fixed, or that could be fleshed, or whatever. But it's okay because it's in early access. Any negative review or any disparaging comments or issues that somebody raises with the game, with the experience, it's okay, it's early access. Whereas as soon as you press 1.0, as soon as you release that game and someone says, there's bugs, that's not fixed, I didn't like that, you've kind of got to accept it and say, well, yeah, because I got it wrong, or yeah, because we didn't fix that, or yeah, because it wasn't important. So is there like a paralysis, a fear paralysis, where if you are in early access, the fear is as soon as you leave, you lose that ability to make an excuse? Oh, we're still in early access, we're still working on it.
I think when it comes to like, say, like RTSs or kind of like base building and stuff like that, there's always going to be glitches. And yes, people will turn around and be like, hey, well, you've been in early access for like God knows how long. 1.0 is like a definite. So many people, like, if they don't go to, like, say, early access, they'll just go straight to, like, 1.0. And people would turn around. So this is what I mean by, like, 2020. People would turn around and it's like, did no one fucking, like, beta test this shit? Like, why is this all crappy, you know? So there's always going to be that argument, like, oh, did you do it or did you not?
I feel like that's just really up to the developer, where they should know that their product is to a certain level where it's running so smoothly and there's, it's already running without so many bugs before they put it out for like the whole world and say, hey, here's early access. I mean, they still need to run patches and stuff and push things that way. But I mean, I think if the early access does work, like, you're basically being put on the focus group for a game that you like. Like, man, this is really cool, but I would really like it if I could have a blue whatever instead of a green one. And maybe that ends up changing that. Maybe your input ends up making it to the final game, and that's something that people really, appeal to. I think that is kind of the appeal of the early access game. That's like the light at the end of the tunnel of why we should try early access.
But that's exploitation. That's you're exploiting your audience. You're exploiting your community. So just be honest and say, rather than say, we want you to pay to come and test our game, let people test it for free, or pay them to QA. Because what they're doing is that they are releasing, that they are asking their community to test an unfinished product, and that is valuable to a developer. And this is, I guess, the absolute steal for developers and for Valve that is early access, because they are getting quality assurance and beta testing, and people are paying for the privilege of doing that. And if that's what someone wants to do, I'm not saying that people who pay for early access games are stupid or idiots or need their heads checking. I'm not saying that at all, because people have had some fantastic experiences with early access, and early access has brought some incredible games, right? So I don't fall out with that. But I think that there needs to be a bit of like an honesty check, a bit of an integrity check here. It's like, well, hang on, we know that you are paying to test our game for us, and we really appreciate that. Rather than, come and play our game, it's not finished yet, and maybe it never will be. In fact, it's unlikely to be finished because most of them never are.
at the very least, it should be free.
So, in conclusion, gentlemen, Ian, do you think that early access should continue, or do you think it is a process, a methodology that should be expunged from the face of the planet?
I vote that they live and continue doing that. That's my vote.
When it's done correctly, once again, back to Manor Lords, done correctly, I think if they're going to go down that marketing route and that's how they're going to be doing it, I think that should exist. I don't like AAA developers using early access, as it were, as beta testing. So it's 50-50, really, personally, from my end.
I like early access. I know that probably sounds a bit perverse since I've just been slagging it off for the last however long, because I think it's an extremely valuable tool. But I take on board what you guys have said there, if it's done properly. And unfortunately, there's no checks and balances in the system at the moment, which makes sure that it's being done properly. You know, in some respects, it kind of reminds me of Next Fest. I mean, I don't know whether you picked up any of the demos on Next Fest. A lot of them are just concepts stapled to a game design document and released as a demo. You know, they shouldn't be there.
Yep, I think Next Fest is actually a very good example. What I was going to say, just to clarify, some people take the piss, and that's never going to change. Early access or not, some people take the piss, you know?
I think we'll bring it to an end then, gentlemen, with the final thought being that some people take the piss. I think that's a perfect way to sum up early access. I think that needs to be the mantra. In fact, they should rename early access to some people take the piss. This has been the Grumpy Old Gamer podcast. And if you've enjoyed this, then please go to gog.fm, which is our main website, and you will find all the ways to get in touch. Come to our Discord and tell us how horrible we are for saying these awful things about early access. We'd love for you to do that, and we'd love to have an argument with you, because that's what we live for. Tim, thank you. Ian, thank you. It's a pleasure, as always. We've been the Grumpy Old Gamer. We will see you in 2 weeks for episode 9, where we were going to talk about the best games of the year so far, but Ian spat his dummy out and we might do something different. We shall see. Tune in 2 weeks to find out. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.